Hi, I'm Brittany Riley, and you're in the kitchen with Britt. We're here at Home Appliance in Avon, Ohio. We're gonna have a little bit of fun with some banana cream pie. We're gonna be making some parfaits though instead. Kind of nice, you know, it's avoiding making a pie crust. It's avoiding, you know, having to deal with like one dish to serve and then more dishes out on the table. Just some little cups of kind of a deconstructed pie. We're gonna start off making our custard because it's going to need to cool before we can assemble. So while that's cooling, we can make everything else. And with any custard, we're always using some eggs. This one, just to make it a little bit easier, we're using a little bit of cornstarch to thicken it up as well. I will have the recipe there for you guys, but basically I have some whole milk, some sugar, a little pinch of salt, and that cornstarch, as well as some vanilla extract. And I'm not gonna be flavoring this with anything except for vanilla. We'll get plenty of bananas going in at the end. And basically what we wanna do is over medium heat. You never really wanna go above medium when you're working with dairy over the stovetop. But just over medium heat, kinda make sure none of the cornstarch starts to stick in the bottom, and let it start to get up to a simmer. As soon as it starts to simmer, it will start to thicken a little bit, and that's when we're gonna be incorporating our eggs. Now to incorporate eggs into something that's hot, we wanna be really careful, and we'll do what's called tempering the eggs, which means that we'll add a little bit of hot liquid until it kind of like brings them up to temperature. Then we can bring it all back in. If we were to just pour these in, they would just kind of scramble in there. So while that's working, we'll just kind of whisk these together to make it easier once we go to temper them. And then we'll come back when this is up at a good simmer. Okay, so we have gotten up to a simmer. It took about 5 minutes. I'm going to just drizzle about a ladleful in while whisking. And once you've kind of done at least 2 ladlefuls, you should be about up to temperature. We'll get this in a little whisk and just kind of go slowly and continue to whisk as you're going in. All right. Now it'll just be a couple minutes and it'll all of a sudden kind of go from like pretty soupy, pretty loose, to just starting to really turn into pudding. So you'll want to just turn it off once it gets to there, otherwise it'll start bubbling and popping on you. And give it a taste to make sure it has enough vanilla for your flavor preferences. Just about 3 more minutes. So we can use graham cracker crumbs, but I love vanilla wafers. I feel like a kid when I eat them. So I'm gonna grind these up in the Vitamix as part of like that little crunchy layer for our parfait. Basically, you know, you can use a food processor or even a Ziploc bag and a rolling pin, whatever you've got. I'm gonna turn this up to high though, and it should only take 10 to 15 seconds. It literally took 5. Amazing. Okay, so banana cream pie is nothing without whipped cream. So we're gonna whip some up here in our mixer. I've got my whisk or beater attachment there. And so we're gonna do, I'm doing 2 cups, but basically you're looking at about 1 cup of cold heavy cream to about a tablespoon of sugar. I'm obviously doubling. And then you want to make sure to add in some vanilla. And since it's the only thing that's really giving it flavor, you're adding a decent amount. I always start it off a little bit lower speed until it starts to get a little bit of volume, just so that we're not sloshing out of the bowl. But this takes, you know, 3 to 4, even 5 minutes, depending on how quickly you have that beater going. And basically what you want to do is if you plan to crank it up, you're going to want to really keep an eye on it, because it can go right past stiff peaks and start separating basically into butter. So we don't want that. So just keep an eye on it, or if you have it kind of more on that like medium high speed, then you don't have to worry about it as much. Perfection. All right, so we're gonna put together our little parfait. I have like this mini trifle dish, and it doesn't really matter what you start with, but I'm gonna start off with our custard. Put in some of crumbs. Of course, you can, throw in some other berries, or you can put in some whole vanilla wafers, whatever you wanna do. Definitely get lots of these bananas in there. If you kind of set them towards the edge a little bit, you can show off how pretty. This is not something you can make ahead of time. It will get very brown and not pretty. All right, we've got all this good whipped cream. And just kind of keep layering. I mean, a parfait is just about layering. I love the ice cream parfait dishes where you can just do tons and tons of layers. That's very cute. This could also be done in basically a larger dish like this, a big trifle, and it's a simple thing to bring, to a gathering or something. Once you can gather. What a gather! It'll be soon. I'll stop. Maybe, I don't know. I might keep going. Can't promise. All right, more pudding. Right, and then I'll put a few more bananas in, but I want to make sure I have a few left to top it off with. And of course, finish with some whipped cream. And this thing is adorable. I mean, if you really want it to be like perfect, you can always use a piping bag, but generally, parfaits are perfect enough. Funny enough, parfait is the word for perfect in French, so I don't know, maybe you don't want to use a piping bag. All right, look at how cute and delicious.